We've covered this story a couple of times from a couple of different perspectives as well. The strike at the Notre-Dame-des-Neiges Cemetery, which is beyond inconvenience so many people, I think angered so many people still waiting to bury their loved ones. And you think at some point, it's been going on for so long, there might have been a settlement reached by now. There was a conciliator appointed, and then we found out today, hoping for that good news, the union walked away from negotiations and from those recommendations by the conciliator. Let's try to understand what's going on, why this is happening. Patrick Chartrand, president of the Cemetery Maintenance Employees Union. He's on the line right now. Monsieur Chartrand, what happened?
Well, I just want to correct you on that. We didn't walk away from negotiation. Yesterday, we had a recommendation by the conciliator that we presented to our members. That's what happened, and our members, which are my bosses, as you can say, decided that we refused that recommendation, so they voted against it. So we have to get back to work. We didn't walk away. We just recommended, we showed this offer to our members.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me stop you then. So you had an offer.
Yep.
Did you think the offer you saw was a good offer? Now you're telling me that the union members voted against it. Did you believe you had a good offer?
Well, I think it was let's say mixed. Let's just say that, because I think we made a lot of progress in the last few weeks with the help of the conciliator. And I think he's the main reason why we progressed so much, because he brought us together. And 2 weeks ago, I think we spent the whole night negotiating until 5 a.m. And there was a lot of progress. But, of course, I think it went south when we had to finalize the back-to-work protocol, mm-hmm.
Which is
standard procedure in all negotiations, and this is where we, like I said, it got south, and but we had to present the whole project as a whole to our members, and there was a few hiccups. Let's just say that. So they voted against it, but I think we made a lot of progress, and I think we should continue working. But, it's
I'm going to address a couple of the hiccups, if you don't mind. According to cemetery management, it was a wage increase, we're talking 23% until 2027. As you said, return to work protocol was happening. It looked submitted to you guys at the union June 15th. They wanted you to stop some of the pressure tactics, including repeated picketing in front of the houses of several of the volunteer administrators. They're calling it harassment and intimidation.
I read that this morning also. First of all, I'm going to tell you about the hiccups, and then if you want, I'm going to talk about those accusations they're making. First of all, the hiccups, I've been talking about. The main one is something I've been talking about for 4 years. They want to decrease our job floors that is put up for regular workers. We're at 62 workers that work all year, and they want to bring it down to 47. They never moved on that, and the conciliator put it in this way in the recommendation, and he added supernumerary workers. So it allows our employer to hire 15 people with no union advantages, no link to us, that he could hire for 10 weeks with, no, like I said, no advantages, and that didn't go well in the assembly. So you're telling us that we have to accept 15, to lower our floor to 15, but with supernumerary workers, which is really bad. Mm-hmm. Yes, there was a little increase in the offer at the table, but I'm reinstating that this is the conciliator that put that on the table. It's not the Fabrique. I'm not sure they wanted. Until 2 weeks ago, there was no back pay offered. The conciliator put that on. That was received pretty well, I think. But, of course, the offer was voted as a whole. As for the accusations, we're not doing anything illegal, no intimidation. A few years ago, we went to one of our bosses, and we were brought in front of a judge, and he told us what to do. And what we're doing is very legal. We're by law. Of course, they don't like it, but every day policemen come and see us. We're on the other side of the road, doing no sound at all. Just it's visibility actions that we're doing. Of course, they don't like it.
Yeah.
And,
okay. Where do we go from here?
Well, let's go back to work. I could spend. I will always agree to come on your show and talk about this. It's my pleasure, but I would prefer being around a table and negotiating right now. But I'm answering your question because there was a press release from my boss. Let's go back to work. I think if we take that on the positive side, we made some progress in the last few weeks. Let's work on that. There's still job to be done, but I think we're on the right track.
They say,
of course, people want to get us back to work, and I understand that pretty much. We want to get back to work also.
Patrick, they say they won't resume discussions with you until some of the tactics end.
Well, you see that again. It's their decision. I want to go back to negotiating. I want to go back to work. It's the first time we presented something to our workers in 4 years. So it shows something. We asked for the conciliator because they didn't want to come back to the table. So they try always to find excuses not to negotiate, accusing us of all sorts of things today.
Okay, well, all right. So
to
Natasha's point, what are they accusing you of that they say they're not going to go back to the table? Do you know what they are specifically?
Well,
what's
what
the
they
issue?
said in the press release, they say we're using pressure tactics. We're allowed to do that by law. There's no conflict union without pressure tactics. We're picketing in front of the cemetery. That's legal. So
okay,
they say harassment and intimidation.
But if that's the case, and that's what you're hearing from management, why don't you just say, okay, we'll stop doing that if we can go back to the table? Wouldn't that be the smart thing to do, or the rational thing to do?
Well, let's talk about that too. I will be willing to talk with them. So let's talk instead of doing press release and doing it in front of the media. I'm not against compromise.
Okay.
Ever. So, but let's talk about it around the table. Let's work things out.
Patrick, thank you. Appreciate it. And always making yourself available. Appreciate that too. Hope you get this settled. We've talked to Michael MUSACCHIO before. Someone who, of course, has an interest in this as a family member. And I don't even know what the count is now. There are hundreds of bodies that have not been able to be buried because of this strike that's been going on for so long. Michael, after hearing what he had to say, Patrick Chartrand, you any more optimistic or not?
Hi, guys. I just wanted to say thanks for having me again. Yes, I've talked to you. It's been close to 7 months now that this has been going on. We're all exhausted and angry. To have us caught in between this argument or the strike is not something that should go on much longer, and something that should never happen again. To me, they should be negotiating, but we're not picking sides. Whoever's right, whoever's wrong. They're like this is like school children fight. He said this, she said this. You know what? Sit down, like Patrick was saying. Sit down at the negotiation table, but at the same time, open the cemetery. They've got the cemetery locked and closed, where I need to go through the fence to see my daughter's grave, which I've been doing. And I can guarantee you that they're saying that the cemetery is closed due to the ice storm damage, and they're cleaning up and have to secure the site. Nothing is happening. The cemetery is an abandoned area. There is no cleanup. And quite frankly, they could open the gates, let people, at least the grieving families that are not awaiting burial, let them in. Why are you keeping us out? Why are we caught in the middle of this? What have we done?
You've done nothing, and it's not
and
fair.
Families that are waiting. There's like over 300 bodies that they're being held as prisoners in freezers, which is unheard of. You wouldn't do this to your pets, never mind a human being. So the administration running this place maybe has to look at themselves in the mirror and say, "This is enough. Let's sit down with the workers or the union and come to an agreement today, not in 6 months, because we're at our wits' end now." I mean, I've been on the radio so many times. We have families that have been on media. We don't know what else to say. we're hurting. We relive this every single day. No, it's unheard of that this is happening here it's Canada's largest cemetery. It's like it should be renamed to Canada's abandoned cemetery, because that's really what it is.
Can't imagine what it's been like, what it continues to be like for families. We can only hope. I mean, it's just odd to, you're right. It's like little kids fighting here in a sense, right? You have management saying, well, stop doing this and we'll sit down. And then you have the union saying, well, we're allowed to do this, so don't tell us what to do.
Sit down at the tables and talk and get it over. Figure out what needs to get done. Everybody has a right to strike. They have a right to negotiate. They have to come to a fair agreement, because people need to put food on the table, and just fix the issue already. And this is a pattern. This happened in 2007. Every time there's a labor contract is up, the cemetery has an issue. Maybe there has to be an investigation to see why every time there's a contract is up, they go into a strike or they go into a lockout or whatever. It doesn't make sense.
And families suffer. Families
suffer.
Yeah. Michael, I thank you. I do appreciate you coming on as well. I can only hope that this thing is resolved sooner rather than later. Later passed a long time ago. So thank you.
Thanks very much,
You
guys.
bet.